was born from our frustration in the industry. It was born from the fact that, you know, we had worked with other companies and, you know, utilizing them as fulfillment houses or whatever, and Val being spokesperson. And I've been a consultant in the industry for several years because I come from the corporate industry. I co-managed $1 million a week grocery chain store for 31 years with 200 employees. But I'd always been a network marketer as well. So in 2006, February 2006, I got tired of fighting the old boys club. And, you know, I figured it was a toxic environment for me, and it was just time for me to take my leave. And so I always loved the network marketing industry. I love people. I love working with people. I love to encourage people and teach people and watch people grow. And that was part of the corporate world that I really loved. But I found that, you know, the challenges I found was in the network marketing world was that companies let us down. It wasn't the people. The people, there were some really good people. I've made some really great relationships over the years, but it was the companies that ended up letting us down. And I found that really upsetting. And so then when I met Val, we had common beliefs, we had common ideologies about the industry, and of course of his extreme success that he's had with, of course, Mentors in Motion. And, you know, he didn't really want to have a company because he didn't want to be tied to customer service and all those other things. It's a lot of work putting together a company. But what happened over the course of time was Mentoring Millionaires really was born out of, even with our own resistance, it was born out of necessity and because of our belief system. We loved it so dearly. We loved that we were going up against the establishment, you know, the online marketing world. And I watched all these people. I watched people being sucked into these rotators and, you know, and people promising, and it was way back in like matrix systems too. I seen it. People were promising that they were going to give two people to two people and two people. And I said, you know what, the mathematics to me just never worked, because if you looked at it logistically, it never would work, because as it grows exponentially, the people that were sitting waiting for to have their people to make money would be waiting for, you know, logically, could be 6 years before they were getting any help. And so for me, that always upset me a lot, you know, the spillover tactics and all of these things. And it was a lie, and it bothered me so greatly that people were being lied to. They were getting marketed to a falsification, but people were still falling for it out of hope and out of desperation a lot of times. And so, you know, but it's really difficult to go up against that, because people, you know, you can throw a few dollars at things and then step in behind the curtain and not be able to see, to have any kind of activity, and still stay anonymous within the system. And that's not how you build a business. So for us, for Val and I both, we saw what was happening with that was that the whole structure of the network marketing industry had been crippled. And that's what these false marketing tactics were doing. It was crippling people. It was crippling their organizations. And it would work for a little while for the people that would set them up. And of course, they would make a heck of a lot of money, and then they go away and they do the same thing again. And you would watch people. They would take their organizations from business to business to business to business. And you could see just the treachery and the devastation that was going on. And what would happen in the end of it is people end up saying, you know, that this is all a scam, you know, this doesn't work. And it was true. But the real scam was that it was that people never showed up to do any work. They didn't show up to learn anything. They didn't show up to grow. And for me, I was very fortunate in my network marketing career and in my corporate career, because I had very, very good mentors. And they were really, really tough on me, really tough on me. And the mark of a good mentor is someone who's going to tell you what you need to hear and not what you want to hear. And I'll tell you, that's a very tough position to be in at times, because I know several times for me where I would have long, very heated arguments with this one particular fellow who really did draw me out into this industry very well. and hanging up the phone, slamming the phone down, and then, you know, storming around, calling them every name upside one wall and down the other, and then over the course of time talking and saying, you know what, you were right. And I had to go and look hard in the mirror and really decide whether I wanted to go forward in this industry and what I needed to do. I really needed to go and take a good look at myself, and I needed to be able to change and adapt and learn new things. Now, remember, I come from the corporate industry. I had a lot of good business skills. I had a lot of good people skills. But when I got into this industry, I was definitely humbled. And I, you know, so for the people that are new to the industry, you know, you're lucky because if you're here, congratulations to you, because you couldn't be in a better place. You could not be in a better place, because you're going to get the truth. You're going to get world-class coaching and mentoring, and you've got a community here that cares about you. And this is what was really important for Val and I when we were developing Mentoring Millionaires. Was there had to be, he said, why Mentors in Motion was so successful. And this is really key. This is behind the scenes stuff that you guys probably don't know. One of the reasons, not all of it, because you know, of course, it's because of Val and his intellect and his marketing skills and his ability to mentor people. But part of it was because he says people have to feel like they're ripping you off. He says they have to feel like they're getting the better of the company. And let me kind of explain that a bit, because he said, and so why we developed this compensation plan was because the company never sees your money. So nobody can ever go away and say, oh, that rotten bastard company, they kept all my money and they folded and they went away. Well, first of all, we're never ever going to see your money, because that money goes directly to you. And that was really important to us. Really important to us, because we wanted to make sure that, of course, the first thing, there's two things that people need desperately in this industry, and one of them is to make money right now. And, you know, how many companies do you join? And then the company keeps the money for 60 days before you see it. And, you know, and by being able to build an organization and be able to pay all those auto ship fees and all that kind of stuff before you can actually get into profit, it's a very difficult balance for people. So that was really important for us. And then, of course, the other part of it was having people to talk to. And I think that is probably the biggest challenge in this industry for people is, you know, what they call the NFL crew is, you know, no friends left. And that's, you know, unfortunate, because, and I think the reason because of that, not being able to go and talk to a lot of people, is because of this being able to jump, or what people have done is they have jumped from program to program to program. And so because you've been dragged from program to program to program, then, you know, eventually over time, the credibility is lost. And, you know, for me in this industry, and me in my lifetime, my integrity is everything. And if you don't have integrity, then, you know what, you better go and take a good hard look in the mirror, because that's what this industry is based on. It's based on relationships and integrity, morals, and all that kind of stuff. So that's what, you know, we knew that the industry wanted all the typical marketing structure. They wanted the capture pages. They wanted all that kind of stuff, you know, the autoresponders, all that kind of stuff. So we said, okay, we had to build a basis of that, because that's the first thing that people are going to look for, because that's what they're going to use. That's kind of their go back to program, right? That's what they want to go back to. So we had to have that. Then we kept looking further and saying, what else can we add in? Well, you know what? The personal touch. We added the videos in, and that's what we're really pushing people. And I'm really glad to see that people are starting to post a few videos in our Facebook group. Good for you. We're really happy to see that. You know what? Just do it. And you know what? The next one will be better. The next one will be better. And, you know, practice. And as Val was saying last night, with that OOVOO, EOOVOO, or even with this, get a free account here with the Zoom as well. And you can record on any of those free programs. You know, watch it yourself. Make sure that you've got a good background. You look presentable, that kind of stuff. So we really pushed the video part of it, because that's the human connection. And it's really important that people understand that people buy from people, they don't buy from links. And, you know, if you see somebody just keeps going and posting links, I kind of go in there and have a little chat with those people and say, you know, who are you and why would I ever buy from you? You know, and sometimes it's good to spark up those conversations, because those are the kind of people that need Mentoring Millionaires, because they need to understand what marketing and advertising is all about. And advertising, I said this last night, marketing and advertising are completely different things, but they're blended together, because advertising is just words that are out there to get people's attention, but the marketing is the branding that people recognize. That, you know, when you say, you know, drink Coca-Cola or whatever the case may be, Coca-Cola is a word, but you associate a brand to it. And the reason of that is because you see the videos, you have an emotional attachment to that. So that's what's so important for people to understand about the marketing component of this. Once you've got the marketing component of it down, then the advertising part is much, much easier to do. So then we analyze it a little bit further, and I love Val for his creative aspect, because he always sees things so very differently than everyone else does. He always sees it from a very different angle than everyone else does. And, you know, and he says, you know what, this is what people really need. They need the money, but they also need the leads. And so we started looking at the technology end of this. And you know what? Technology changes so fast. It changes so fast. Continually, you know, look at computers, look at, I mean, everything that we used to do on a computer that would fill a room, we're doing now on a cell phone, on something that we pack around in our hands and in our pockets all the time, that with the terabytes and gigabytes and storage on it, that is bigger than we could get on a desktop computer just a few years ago. And so, you know, we took a look at all of that going on. And so being able to look into the world of voice broadcasting, which people can get into trouble with. Email marketing, that's passe. You can't even get email marketing. People don't read their emails anymore. There's so many things that go to junk. And, you know, you have to be really good at writing, copywriting. You have to really be good at subject headers to get people's attention. And email marketing works really well for people with big followings. You know, they'll send out an email blast, and because they communicate with them all the time, then that will still work for people for a certain reason. But this newest technology with the ringless voicemail, and the reason we actually took a look at it was because it came out with regards to all of this election. And that's what they've been using with the election and polling and all that kind of stuff. So it kind of came up into our face, really, and we started investigating that and seeing exactly how that was going to work. And we said, this is exactly what people need. I said, we have to go learn it so that we can teach it to our people and utilize it for them to be able to market for their business. So we felt that was a really, really great direction to go. And so, like, we've put together the whole platform for it. Now we have to just explain to people how that actually works out, because there's a couple of avenues you can go with that. And we're going to get into that. We'll talk about that tomorrow and in a lot more in depth. So, you know, all of that was the whole package, the whole marketing package. I don't think there's a whole lot more that we can add to that component of it. We've got more coming down the road. Of course, we've got the large events that Val has sort of alluded to, that we're going to do for like weekend events and stuff where people will be able to make some really big money at those ones. And that one's going to be really outstanding. But the biggest part of that is when we married up those two things that were so important, that, you know, the instant money and then having people to talk to. If you got people to talk to and you can make instant money, you know what? I think that was a win-win all the way around. And it was really great because I had a chat with a fellow last night, and we were talking, and he said, you know, he says, and this was, he totally made my night. He says, I've been doing this for 7 or 8 years. And he said, everything I was doing was exactly opposite to what you guys are teaching now. And he said, I failed, and I failed, and I failed. He says, I get it. And he said, I never would have been proud enough to put any of those guys on a 3-way call because I always felt they were kind of snake oilish people. He says, I'm proud to be in this company. And he says, I totally get it. He says, I got the vision. And now he says, I've got the dialogue to be able to go and talk to people. And I think that's the part that's so very, very important here for people to understand is, you know, if you're, and I congratulate all you people the people that have stepped forward and spoken, and you feel safe enough to do so. We always want you to feel safe for your voice to be heard here, because we need your feedback. This company is not about the company. It's not at all about the company. It's all about you. And it's about the people, that those little diamonds in the rough, you know, we always talked about that. That's kind of old terminology stuff. You all know that, right? We always talked about those diamonds in the rough. And you know what? There's a whole lot of you out there. All you need is the opportunity to shine. And we've got the emery cloth here to polish up the edges. We've got all of the components that you need. And all it is taking that one step forward, one step forward, one step forward. Maybe it'll be a step back every now and again. You know, maybe you might be a little bit afraid some days. That's okay. Everybody's afraid. And if you've ever heard the stories of Val, and I'm sure you have, of him and his very first days of doing public speaking, with him, you know, sticking the toothbrush down his throat and throwing up and disappearing from the camera. And it's funny because, you know, none of us can see him like that now. None of us can see him like that now. However, we all grow. And if you don't give yourself the opportunity to grow, then you're never going to move forward. And you have to take those risks. You know, trust yourself. And you've got such a safe environment here with us that, you know, this is the first, I think this is the first time I've seen an environment truly where we're not competing against each other. And we really are a community of assisting each other and helping each other and building each other up. And I think that that's really what this industry is supposed to be about. But somewhere everybody got lost down the roads, and you know, the whole part of this, you know, get in first and all that stuff, that's competing to snatch up people and bastardize the system. So, you know, that's not what we're about. We're all about helping and assisting each other, and whatever anybody has to bring to the table, everybody has a gift. And you know what, just because I'm taking up the screen time and speaking and, you know, sharing my story, I know that you've got a story, and you've got a story, and you've got a story, and everybody has a gift. And whether or not you have, you know, you've only been in the business for a few days, it doesn't matter, because you know what your gift is? The gift is the vision that you saw. And when you have that vision and you believe in it, other people will believe you too. But if you don't believe it, then nobody else will believe it either. So, you know, you have to get engaged. You have to stay engaged. You have to keep the dialogue, and you have to study. You have to study people. You have to be able to, you know, I watch Steph speak. She's an incredibly great speaker. She speaks with such enthusiasm, and she flows with her stories, and it always goes somewhere, and it means something. And so every time she speaks, she's teaching as well as that she's giving you knowledge. And, you know, at the people that don't take notes, I'm sorry that you don't, because those are missed opportunities. I'm a note taker. I always have been. I've got books and books and books. I never miss an opportunity. Even when Val and I are talking, we have our morning meetings. I always have my notepad, because he'll start rattling off at any given moment, and he'll just go into this dialogue, and I'm writing like my life depends on it, because I go, can you repeat that? And he goes, no. So, you know, you want to grab those golden moments, grab them and write them down, because they're gifts. They come from another place. They're gifts that are given to you, and you have the opportunity now of sharing those with other people. And, you know, it's like learning a language. This industry has a different language. It has a very different language than any other. Like, you wouldn't go to a foreign country and understand the language. You might be able to communicate a little bit, but you wouldn't be able to get, you know, your true emotions and true feelings and true language out until you learn the language. And this industry does have a little bit different language. And it's about your confidence. It's about your posture. It's about phrasing. It's about, and, you know, and you can watch, and I've watched, and not to get into the politics, but I've watched a lot of speakers, and there's some things that I get repelled from, and there's some speakers I've watched that have been truly inspiring. And it's the way, it's how they've said things, it's the way they've said things, and it's how they mean things. And you can get your story across, because everyone has a story. Like I said, if you've only been in the business a few days, your gift is that you're happy to be here, because you're learning in an environment that is built by professionals, and everybody's treated equally here. Nobody's better than anybody else because we all learn from each other. So I think that that's really where the gift is. Of course, in the compensation plan, it's pretty simple. It's a one-up system, and that's about as simple as it gets. Now we're changing the website a little bit. Val's been working on a new video that he's putting on the Hangout page, which we're going to change that up a little bit too. We're trying to make this as seamless as possible. The video postcards page now has a button on there where you can put a video on there and just push the buttons, tell people to go push the button, and it'll take you right to the website. That's like an intermediary page. You can put your personal message on there. And, I think that that's really important, that you speak and you say something and make eye contact with people, because it really makes a huge, huge difference in whether you have a little bit of a success or you build an empire. There's you can have a little bit of success and go to the next program, or you can really stick with it, learn, and become a force to be reckoned with. And that only comes over time of really showing up and putting your foot forward. And you know what? We'll pay attention. We'll pay attention. The people that step forward and really want to make their marks, we'll pay attention to. And I know that happened to me in my career, that I was one of those kind of people that asked a lot of questions, and I actually never shut up. So they were probably getting a little tired of me. But you know what? I always got recognized, and I always were thrown into my 2 minutes, and we'll do that soon, is give everybody their 30 seconds of fame and asking them, where their, what their whole thoughts about the process is. And that's what I want to make sure that people are starting to do in the Facebook group. Introduce yourself and just give a little short testimonial in there. And I think that that's going to have it'll do a lot for you. When you see yourself publicly, it's going to make a huge difference to you. You'll get some confidence. And then once you have that confidence, it will grow and you'll improve, and all of those things too. So Steph, do you got something you want to just add into that? I would love to hear what you have to say too.
No, I mean, you did awesome. My story and my explanation of all this is always the same. I mean, the things that you spoke about in terms of why this was created was exactly why I came here. And I can honestly say, whether you're a brand new person or whether you've been in the industry for any length of time, whether you've had a great deal of success or you've had no success at all, or, somewhere in between, the thing with this industry is it can be very, very dog eat dog, like, Tracey was explaining. It could be very, very competitive, where you think you're in a situation or in an environment that's conducive to you learning, come to figure out that, someone did everything they could to help you get in the business, to help them generate income. But then when it's time to nurture you and to help you and to really give you the big picture, they're nowhere to be found. And I came to this industry, I added this to my business portfolio because I really do have a love for teaching, for mentoring, for guiding, and for leading by example. And I knew that if I could position myself in a community where I could lead by example, that I would be able to help, play a part in establishing leaders, because leadership is not something Tracey can give to you, Val can't give it to you. No one can truly give you leadership. It has to be something that you want for yourself. And I have found that, some of the best leaders that I've been able to help throughout the years have been those that have come into, like type scenarios or like communities. Again, I'm thinking way back to like 2007. And 2008 when I was coming up in all of this. And it was these kind of communities that really help people find their own, establish their message, and not rely on the gimmicky things that this industry is about right now, like the rotators, always looking for a new fancy system, always looking for the latest, greatest, waiting for people to sit around and do it for you. Always asking, what can someone do for you instead of what can you do for yourself, Way back when I got started, this is what it was about, teaching people how to do videos, how to have a message, how to have a voice, how to brand themselves. And that's the kind of opportunity you have for yourself now. One thing I always tell my partners is the great thing about establishing yourself and establishing a really strong message is that no matter what opportunities come and go, Tracey, you've been around a long time, longer than I have, and we all know there have been really, really great companies that just cease to exist. they just go away. And sometimes we have no control over that. But when you establish yourself, you brand yourself, you establish your message, and you really learn the fundamental skill sets of how to build a business, as things come and go, guess what? You can keep on ticking. You can keep on moving. You know, so I know I myself have been in this industry 9 years. You know, once I established myself and I was able to become boss free, which is going on 7 years now, I've never looked back, and I've never had to go back and get a job. What I can tell you is there's a lot of people in this industry that have put themselves in a situation where they were able to, you know, rid themselves of their boss. And because they were attached to gimmicky approaches of building their business, when things fell apart, they had to go back and get jobs. You know, and that doesn't have to be the story for you if you decide to put in the elbow grease and a little bit of the hard work now to truly learn what it takes, to buy your time and to really latch on to what it is that we're doing here. And this doesn't have to be your main gig. You might already be in a company that you love, but if you feel like you're missing something, that's what you can get from this community. You know, are those leadership skills, are the things that most companies, you know, don't talk about. You can get that here, you know, with us, with the Mentoring Millionaires. So there's room for everyone to establish themselves and become leaders.
Well, and you said a couple things that were, I really like. You call they're partners. There's no upline, there's no downline, you're partners. And that's what's wrong with the industry, is there's a hierarchy of people thinking that you're upline, downline, people own you. You know what, we're all free agents, we're all independent contractors, and it bothers me when somebody says, you know, they own you, that you're my downline and you have to follow me here, I have to follow. You know what, you're your own independent contractor, and it's always the job of the sponsor to keep you and train you and educate you and give you more. That's why you decide. And so that's, you know, you have to make good decisions about who you partner up with, because if somebody just wants your money and then they disappear on you, then that's not someone you want to be engaged with in business, because that's not what a business partnership is about. And you also said something about the job structure, and you know, jobs are not security anymore. If you're either going to be independent or you're going to be dependent. If you're dependent, that means you're waiting for a paycheck, you're waiting for a social security, you're waiting for someone else to do something. And here's the critical word in that. The critical word is wait. And wait is death. Wait is death in this industry. And the people that make the most money are the ones that get into critical action on their very first 30 to 60 to 90 days. And, you know, you can get in and you can take a look at the website, and then you can go and think about it and make some business cards and rearrange your desk. And then you can go and, you know, go and buy yourself, you know, a bunch of new books, and then sit down and go for lunch and think about it. You know what? That really is about critical action. And it's about your belief, and all it is your belief system. You know, and the other part of it I wanted to say too is people have a misconception about what, you know, the whole network marketing industry. They think that they have to go out there. I think that their vision, and I could be wrong, but this is really, when I have this conversation with people, I think it clears a lot of things up, is that people think that they have to go out there and sponsor 100 people. And they think that they have to go, and they say, oh, I don't know that many people. And I said, well, you know what? I've watched some of the biggest organizations and been part of and built some of the biggest organizations that I've ever seen in this industry. And they all started from 5 people. You get 5 good people or 6 good people, you know what? Or you may have to go through a few people to get those 4 or 5 or 6 really good people. But you know what? It's the quality of the relationship. It's the quality of the partnership. It's the quality of what you do together. It's whether you show up every day. You know what? You have to communicate. You have to be on the phone. You have to be brainstorming. Steph, I know that you do that with your partner all the time. Val and I do that every single day. And you know what? You have, even if you don't even know where to start brainstorming, just start brainstorming. Idea generation. Throw it on the table. We start some days way over in left field and with the craziest ideas. And we've really got it kind of down to a little bit of a system, because we've been doing this for so long that we're very comfortable with each other about putting, sometimes just our brain just opens and ideas come out, and they come out of our mouth, and they may not even make sense. But by the end of that brainstorming session, sometimes it can be 3-4 hours long. We've done that before. I think we had you on one of those calls, I think, one day. You know, but you know what? It's miraculous the way that it takes shape, because it goes from over here from something that doesn't resemble anything, to being over here to going, that was a miracle, how that structure developed. And the reason it develops is because that we are open and honest and non-judgmental about anybody's idea being good or bad. It's just ideas, and they develop and they take shape. And that's how Val and I do business, without bringing things to the table for everybody here. And, you know, we're not the end all be all. And if people have ideas, you know what, we're always open to listen. I'm a huge component of customer service. And I'll give you this little nugget of history on me. With this $1 million a week grocery chain store, we had 200 employees, 40,000 customers a week. So it was a big operation, 100 stores in the chain. It was a really big operation. And so I walked around the building all the time. I had a portable phone, and one of my favorite things ever to do was irate customers. I loved it. And people thought I was nuts. They would call me up and say, man, I got a live one for you right now. And I mean, these people they'd be screaming and yelling and stomping and, you know, hang the manager, burn the store, all this kind of stuff, right? But you know what I loved about it? That's the people component, because they were frustrated. They weren't serviced properly, and somebody dropped the ball. You know, like for instance, I mean, you know, they had a barbecue with their family, and they bought some steaks, and the steaks were tough, and they were just whatever the case may be. But you know what? It was an opportunity to go and put them into a very personal scenario where I could remove them and listen. And I think that's our biggest challenge today, is we don't listen, because people will tell you why they're frustrated, and we'll keep talking and we won't listen. And so I love the fact that I could listen and be empathetic and say, I totally understand. And I do, because if that was my family, it was a special event and something went wrong, and it was you know, maybe it was their fault, maybe it wasn't, who knows? But I had the power to change that. And the power I had was to make them happy and have them they gave me another opportunity to make them happy. So, you know, I take them into the meat department, get the head meat cutter, get a big loin out, chop out some steaks out of the middle, give them a box of steaks and say, look, I want you to invite your family over again and have another dinner. Give us a second opportunity to prove us that we've serviced you properly. Now, that is the best marketing you can ever get, because they're going to go and tell all their friends. First of all, they're going to tell your friends that you're a bunch of scumbags because your products are crappy, or they're going to go back out and tell everybody they got the best service possible. And so customer service to me is paramount. And I always thank people, because the person that walks out the door that doesn't tell you their problem is a missed opportunity. It's a complete missed opportunity. And that's not any different than it is in this industry. And if you're not listening to the people and asking those questions, if they don't understand, you know, and asking the correct information, the quality of your answer is going to be based on the quality of your question. Ask good questions. And so you want to make sure that you stay engaged with people, make sure their questions get answered, make sure that you've got the right person, that they're not just going to come in and, you know, I've turned people away and say, you're not right for this business. I've done that before. And don't ever be afraid to say that, because you know what? I know a lot of people in the beginning they're trying so hard to get their first sale. And you know what? The biggest thing, the biggest learning curve that you'll ever get in this industry is turning somebody away, because that is the biggest power move and posture move that you can ever do. If you can identify that person isn't going to be a good business partner for you, they're going to be more detrimental in your business. They're going to bring you down and give you lots of grief. And I've turned lots of people away and just said, you know what? And I won't even tell them what I'm doing. Won't give them a link. I won't do anything. You have to interview people. And that was another thing that I did in the grocery business. I mean, I interviewed thousands and thousands of people, and I could tell from their gait, how fast they walked. I could tell in their vocal tonality. I could tell in their energy level whether I was going to hire them within the first 30 seconds. And people will determine with you. I posted something in our Facebook group yesterday. It's a PDF form, and it says in there, it's a really good article. You should read it. 12 things that people will determine about you within the first few milliseconds of meeting you. Now, if you don't have good energy, you're not smiling, And I mean, Steph, you're great. You're always smiling. You've got great energy. You're always, you know, and we always like to have fun. People don't want to feel like they're getting another job. They don't want to, they're coming home from a 9 to 5. They're tired. They got kids. They got groceries. They got bills. And now all of a sudden you're making it sound like they're going to get another job. They don't want to hear about another job. They want to hear about hope. They want to hear about opportunity. They want to hear about something better than they're doing right now. And you've got the golden ticket to take them there. And you know what? You have to let them know that this is an opportunity and you're going to take that journey together. It's a journey and you're both going to go on it together. And so you have to be that bright, shining hope and stay that bright, shining hope and say, you know what? I may not know everything, but I can sure find out. And I used to use that line a lot. I'm not too sure, but I can sure find out. Don't be afraid to use that one. Because you know what? There's nothing worse than giving somebody the wrong information. So, you know what? And again, we've got a great community here. Ask questions. You know what? You know, here's something that floors me is I look in that group all the time, and I'll see there'll be like, you know, 30 people that look at something. Now, there's no reaction. There's no like. There's no comment. You know, are these people just all in the bleachers? And yet there's no engagement. And I think it's so important. The number one thing of whether you're going to succeed or fail in this industry is whether or not you stay engaged and stay plugged in. If you don't show up for work, and I used to say this to the employees when they didn't show up for work, I said, look, when you came looking for a job, we made an agreement. You came to me looking for a job, we made an agreement, and I hired you. Now, when you don't show up, the agreement is you don't get a paycheck. This is no different. This is no different. So, you know what? Ask questions, show up, engage, you know, step out of your comfort zone. Nothing's going to change if nothing's going to change. So you have to push yourself, go look in the mirror, say, would I buy from myself? Would I partner with myself? You know, look professional. For Pete's sakes, you know what? You don't have to go out and buy designer clothing, but be clean and presentable. You know, a video is a real good mark about take a look at your background, take a look at what you look like. You know, don't be afraid of it, but be conscious of what you're portraying out there on your Facebook page. What are you posting? What's your profile picture look like? Are you entertaining? Are you engaging? Would people be interested in you? You know, are you just, you know, like there's got to be some personality in there. Everybody has it. You just have to blossom and bring it out. And the more that you can do that and learn to speak and listen to people, engage them. I watch Val. I've been watching him for 2.5 years. I have never missed one webinar he's ever been on. Never have I missed one. And I take notes, I listen to his phrase, I write them down. I may not say them exactly how he said them. I'll make them my own because I don't speak exactly like he does. I may have a little bit different phrasing, but I like what he said. I liked his message. You know what? And I'll watch other people speak. I like their message. And I'll take phrases from that and I'll write it down and I'll use that. I'll use that in my marketing. I'll use that and Steph, you said something really great. I think it was yesterday. You know, those spammy emails that come, you know, the ones that capture my attention, man, I take those and I put them in my hot sheets. You know what? Because those are things that you can, if it got your attention, don't you think you could get someone else's attention with that, right? So marketing is really, like it says, it's the art and science of empowering people. It's not about you, it's not about us as marketers. It's about what captures your audience. And you know, when people put out a marketing message or an advertising message, they're thinking from their point of view about what they are trying to sell, but they're not looking from the point of view of what the buyer's looking for. So there's a big disconnect in there a lot of times, and you have to kind of really step out of the way and take a look at things from a different avenue. So it's really good to do research. You really have to go and look all the time. Go and research things, you know, and I know with you, Steph, too, it's that people will call me all the time and ask me how to do things again. You know, www.traceygoogle.com. You know, I spent decades learning this stuff, man. Who gives you the right to come in and just think that you're going to swipe it off of my desk? You know, but I'm generous. I'm very generous because I love to teach people, and I'll never say no to people. I'll encourage them. I won't do it for you, but I'll show you how. And I think that that's the best thing we can ever do for anybody. And I would do that in my corporate world too, is I pull up a chair beside me and I will show you everything I know, but I will never do it for you. And that's what this industry is supposed to be. And that's what we're making it back into becoming again with Mentoring Millionaires. So I don't know if anybody wants to put their stamp on that. Steph, you got anything more to add?
I don't. You did awesome. I don't have anything else to add. Yeah, this is the place to be, guys. This is the place to be for sure. What I like about this is, and I'll keep this really short, is that, you know, and I talked about this when we first, you know, kicked off these sessions, is that a lot of companies, you hop on their opportunity calls and it's always so scripted and it's so robotic and you always know what's going to be said. What I love about this is that even as members, we show up and we get to learn from it. It's not just a platform to sell or to try to recruit people, but you're really learning, you know. So whether you're here as a member, you know, you should walk away from here with content for videos, with content for blog posts, with content for your emails, you know, with content to help you in the marketing and growing of your business. And if you're here for the first time or you're evaluating our community, you know, I'm sure you're probably seeing this as the place to be. You know, I mean, knowing that you would have this kind of community to invite people into as well. That's not just about trying to sell them on an opportunity, but that we're not afraid to give back and help you with the process of becoming a leader and growing and developing yourself. And at the end of the day, if we can just really remember to keep that like the forefront of our business, not only do we become better, but every single person that we touch or have the opportunity to connect with, they have the opportunity to become better as well. And that's what I love about this community. Is, you know, it's not just about selling or recruiting people. It's about inviting people into a community and a platform that really is designed to help them get better, you know, from our digital tools and our self-development education and the ongoing mentorship and coaching, the live things that we do like this, you know, our Ringless platform, the database, everything. It's designed to help you learn how to establish yourself, learn how for you to get better, and really learn how to build a fundamentally sound business for yourself. Not something gimmicky, but fundamentally sound. This really can be your launching pad, or it can help you build upon whatever success you might already be experiencing for yourself now. So,
yeah. And you know, and here's, people ask a lot of times, ask a lot of questions about the product. We have a consumable product. And the people that are not consuming it, shame on you. Shame on you. Because you need to. If you want to change, you want to grow, you want to develop, you want to move out of where you are now and move forward, the only way that you're going to do that is to do something different than what you're doing right now. So go into that back office and start listening to the village. It's powerful. It is so powerful. Don't think that you're just going to go and listen to it in your car and then it's done, because there's exercises in there and they're hard. I mean, I've gone through them a few times and sat and going, you know what, that one, I have a really hard time getting through that one, because you have to sit still for 2 minutes and empty your mind of anything. And I find I'm writing a grocery list, going over here thinking about, oh, I should have done that. I got laundry. And I go, no, stop. And I go over that and over that. And the exercises are there for a reason. It's not simple, but I'm telling you how powerful it is. It will change your life. And devour it. It's food for your brain. It's food for your soul. It's food for your growth. And you need to consume it, devour it, and it will develop you. And it will develop you as fast and as more powerful as how much you delve into it and apply yourself to it. You know, if you went into and bought a college course, and there's no different here. You've bought a college course. You've bought a university course here. In a sense, but if you never showed up for it, what was the point, right? And I know a lot of people that they think that they're going to get a degree just because they paid the tuition, but you have to show up to class. You have to do the assignments, you know, and you have to apply yourself. And the people that apply themselves are the ones that benefit. And we want everybody here, because I know that each and every one of you here on this call right now are leaders because you show up. And that means a lot to me and Val, because we know that we've got people who are dedicated. And that's the first step. Showing up is the first step. Now take the next step and start devouring and consume the products, because they're there for a reason. And you know what? You'll be surprised. And the one thing I know, without a doubt, is you can never be the same person tomorrow you were yesterday, even by a little bit. But you can change drastically who that person becomes just by what you do today and what you become tomorrow. And you know what? It doesn't happen overnight. But over the course of time, your fears will disappear, your confidence will grow. And I know for a fact that I am not the person I was 10 years ago. I know for a fact I don't even know who that person was, even a couple of years ago. I've changed and I developed. And, you know, Val and I work together, and I learn from him in probably a different way than probably you do, because we work very closely together. But I learn from him all the time. He pushes me really hard sometimes, and in a different way, because I have to do a lot of the technical work as well. You know, and there's a lot of things that I didn't know how to do that I had to learn how to do. So, you know, that's really important to do. So, you know what? Take the opportunity. You're in such a great place right now. You're in such a great place. I hope you understand what a great place you're at, because, you know, you've got such a great opportunity of learning all of these fundamentals, and you can't do anything anywhere. You can't play a piano, you can't play tennis, you can't ski, you can't do anything without fundamentals. And you've got it all right here, right under your fingertips, if you choose to use it. So I'm just reading the notes here if anybody's got any questions here, Steph. I'm not sure. Writing notes in ink by hand adds value. Absolutely, Rick. I always take notes. So, Steph, I think that we're just approaching the hour here. You know what? It was us. Thank you for participating. Everyone here, you know, all you leaders on this call, thank you for showing up. Steph, thank you for your participation in this as well. And, you know, I rambled on a little bit, but I hope everybody got some value from this tonight. And I'm pleased that we were here spending this time together. So I'll send out an email with regards to the brainstorming tomorrow, and I hope you all can make that as well. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Have a good night. Bye-bye.
Good night.
Good night.
Right.
Night.